What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Now that the Forever Purge is out, it's time to rank all 5 of the Purge movies from worst to best. So let me know in the comments what your ranking of the Purge movies were. As always, this is just my list, not a definitive ranking. Also, make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these movie rankings, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more movie-related content on a near daily basis. But let's not waste any more time, and let's jump into the list. In last place is The Purge. The first film in this franchise was not exactly a great start, and while all these movies have had their issues, this commits the ultimate sin. While we're presented with a pretty cool premise with this dystopian universe, we don't get a look into anything within this universe, and the film instead decides to just be a standard by-the-numbers home invasion thriller, with all the action restricted to just one house, which makes me wonder, what was the point of giving us all this backstory if we're going to do nothing with it? That aside, we can't even really have fun with whatever it is we do get because the characters are just so poorly written. We learn next to nothing about our protagonists, who either just spew exposition or recite really cliched dialogue, and our antagonists try to do this pseudo Heath Ledger Joker routine where they laugh maniacally and say things in very weird ways, but it was clear there was more attention put into the specific energy of these characters rather than what it was they were actually saying or doing. And while this is a problem that essentially plagues the entire series, it gets annoying very quickly here. While this kicked off a franchise that was so full of potential, this is the film that squandered said potential the most. At number 4 is The Forever Purge, a lackluster continuation that may or may not be the finale of the series. But if it is, it really ended on such a weak note. While some of the usual schlocky violence is kinda fun here, and it's all well acted, it presents us with bland, uninteresting characters whose only purpose is to recite all these talking points referencing topical themes in a very on-the-nose manner. But because the film has nothing interesting to say beyond just making these surface level statements, it causes the characters to be surface level as well. And it just gives the film this overall run-of-the-mill generic feel. Also, considering how the third film left off and this film picked up, there were so many unanswered questions as far as what exactly happened between those two that it felt like there was something of a gap in logic. On top of the film's action scenes being weaker, the over-reliance on jump scares, and a lackluster conclusion that doesn't feel like a true finale, this one was a frustrating watch. At number 3 is The Purge Election Year, a film that does try building on the themes and one of the characters from the second film, though to mixed results. There were aspects about this movie that I really liked, including the over-the-top action scenes, the attempts at character development, and its deeper exploration of social and political themes, but unfortunately, it's a film that loses sight of having any sort of balance, trying to heighten just about every little thing to an 11. So some of its attempts at being surreal and cartoonish come off as totally unbelievable, while its attempts at being emotional come off as incredibly melodramatic, with the dialogue being some of the absolute worst I've seen in these films. Now, while I know there are those who are more forgiving of its weaker elements, they really got under my skin here, and they undermined the moments I genuinely enjoyed. At number 2 is The First Purge, a prequel that scales back a lot of the social commentary that the last 2 films especially were going for, but it makes up for all that by going all in on the ridiculous violence, and for me, it worked enough to make for some mindless B-movie entertainment. Now, truthfully, I was disappointed that there was an opportunity to explore some of the themes and seemingly dense history in this universe, and the filmmakers opted to play things out essentially like any other Purge movie, but it at least makes up for that with a pretty solid cast, giving us quite possibly some of the best acting in all of these movies, with the main cast elevating much of the material and making us care about these characters way more than we probably should. It's just a shame they didn't have better material to work with, as, like all these other movies, there was potential for something great, but it's still fine for what it was. But in first place is The Purge Anarchy, which is by no means a great movie, but with it being the first sequel after the disappointing original film, it's a major step up. More than any of these other films, this seemed like the one that most closely understood having some sort of balance, and had the closest to a fairly consistent tone. It feels like a film that took the criticisms of the first film and made sure to address each and every one of them, at least very briefly. And in some areas, it was incredibly effective, such as the fact that there's both character development and social commentary, which was lacking in the first movie. But in other areas, it wasn't as effective, such as the fact that both the character development and social commentary only go so far and kind of fizzle out during the latter half of the film. But at least I felt a lot more invested here, especially thanks to Frank Grillo being front and center. The stakes felt higher, the action was fittingly more over the top, and while it's far from being the biting satire that it could have been, I had a fun enough time with it, making for my number one favorite of the Purge movies. And that was my ranking of all the Purge films, all first-time watches too. This was an interesting little series to say the least. It really was a franchise that had so much potential and at times would be pretty fun, as well as hit the nail on the head, but as fun as it would be, it never went anywhere as far as it should, and it was a shame. I said in my review of the Forever Purge, I really don't think this is the last we've seen of these movies, despite the claims that the Forever Purge is the last one, and if that's the case, I really hope with whatever the next film is, we get a change of pace. But let me know, what's your ranking of the Purge movies? Did you agree with this list at all? Did you disagree with it? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it. And for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone and keep having fun with film.